Joining us to talk about the aid packages going around the Hill, Senator Jerry Moran is the member of the Senate Appropriations Committee, which is drafting its own Israel, Ukraine, and border emergency supplemental. Good morning to you. Given what we just heard and the debate that's happening on the Hill, what do you think the chances are that one of these bills gets support?
Well, I certainly consider it part of my responsibility to see that I do everything I can to see that a bill does pass. I think Americans should know, members of Congress should know that we are in a very challenging time in this world. Our national security is hugely important. It's our primary responsibility as a Congress, as a federal government, is to defend the nation. And I look forward to making sure we put a package together different than what the White House sent to us. In fact, I asked for the hearings that we had this past week and will have again on Tuesday so that we could consider that Congress could do its job, the Appropriations Committee could do its work to make sure we get a bill that is as good as we can get and will pass both the House and the Senate. This is important. Our nation's future, our freedoms and liberties are at stake. I think this is one of the most consequential votes that me and my colleagues will have to address.
Can you speak, though, to the bill that Mike Johnson put together as it relates to its support for Israel, but its effective defunding of the IRS and that CBO score that effectively says you're going to be bringing in less money, not more?
Well, Congress has overspent. The president has proposed way too much spending over a long period of time. It's not going to be solved in this bill. And if there are offsets that make sense, they ought to be reserved for our normal spending process so that we pay for the things that occur in an annual appropriations process and not now at the moment in which, again, our country's future is at stake, our role in the world is determined. And if that's a good offset, save it for all the other things we could offset at a later date. My best guess is that if a bill does come from the House, that it will be replaced. There will be a motion to amend, to substitute, and a Senate version of the bill will replace the bill that comes from the House, and our bill will be much more all-encompassing. And at the moment, the issue that we're most directly involved in is making sure that there are policy changes at our border, particularly our southern border, not only just resources, but to make sure the actual laws change so we don't have the continual demand for people to cross our border illegally. All this needs to go together with a package that includes Ukraine and certainly replenishing our own military supplies here, as well as strong support for Israel.
Senator, so that's the big question. How clean, if you will, do these bills need to be to get the support? Which is to say, you know, I think some people looked at connecting the IRS issue and Israel as something that was being conflated or taken advantage of. Then there's the question of if, you know, putting Ukraine and Israel together should even be the case. But then there's the question of if you add immigration, you can make an immigration argument probably around safety in the United States. So maybe that actually makes sense. How do you see those sort of lines in this debate?
My view is that there can be more than 60 votes in the United States Senate for a package that includes all those things. And I would say that border security that you mentioned specifically, it is a national security issue. It's also an opportunity for the politics to come together to get the 60 votes in the Senate and potentially pass in the House of Representatives. So the border issue has national security importance. The border issue also has political opportunities for more Republicans in particular to vote for this piece of legislation, this appropriation bill. And I'm of the view that we are facing a challenge. We should not walk away from Ukraine. Republican colleagues, including me, have criticized the Biden administration for the way they came out of Afghanistan and the messages it sent to our adversaries, messages it sent to our friends that we're not committed, that we're not faithful. Boy, not doing something for Ukraine now and quickly, along with Israel, sends a message to the world that the United States can't be trusted.
Senator, do you think that there's going to be a new conversation after all this, and I don't know when after all this happens, or what that even means, about entitlements, about spending on a broader level? We as a country seem to go from crisis to crisis to crisis to crisis. We never budget for a crisis of any sort, and then we spend because invariably we feel we have to. But we don't seem to find a way to offset that spending, and that conversation always seems to get kicked down the road.
My role as an appropriator involves about 30% of what we spend as a federal government. And pleasing to me, we reduced this year's spending. FY24 is less than FY23. So we're bending the curve. We're headed in the right direction. But the reality is, as you say it, until we deal with so-called entitlement spending, mandatory spending, which is the other 70% of what the federal government spends, it is impossible to solve our budget deficit problems. And our economy, we talk about national security, a strong economy with a more balanced set of books is a component of our national safety, our ability to play in the world, to defend the world and our Western values. It is important, and it takes leadership. It takes a White House, it takes a president, and it takes leaders of Congress who are willing to put in the time and effort to explain to the American people why those issues must be addressed and must be addressed sooner rather than later.
Senator, ultimately, to solve the debt and deficit, we are going to have to lower our costs in some meaningful way, but we probably are going to have to raise some form of revenue. Where do you stand on the idea of defunding, if you will, I don't know if that's the appropriate word, the IRS as it relates to what Mike Johnson was saying, even if that's a separate issue in terms of how that's looked at later?
Well, my view is that IRS employees are important to collect taxes, but we want to make sure that it's not necessarily the number of employees, it's what the employees are doing. And if they're out there searching in a political way, as we've seen evidence in some past administrations in which they're looking for an opportunity to attack someone and their taxes because of their political contributions or views, that is absolutely off limits. Right. It's also about what they do.
Weaponized.
I think it's very hard to disagree with that. The question is there a way to have enough folks in the IRS to collect what we're properly due without a political overtone?